All right, hey everybody, we're back and we're into some Outer Brood. As you can see here, we're in the control room. I'm going to start with this one. There's 4 total missions here. The Architect one, which is kind of like the first one you'll go through, is just stupid easy. Like, there's really nothing to that mission whatsoever. It's just avoid auras and kill mobs, kill ads. So I'll eventually get to a video to that, but there's really not much to it. It's kind of similar here with the control room, with the general. There's really nothing special to this, to ISBoxer, that you wouldn't follow just like any kind of boxing. But this is a tough one. It's very, very chaotic. It's basically locked into RNG if you're going to win or not, which is kind of unfortunate. But that's just kind of what people like to do in game design these days, is shut their brains off and just add randomness. So we gotta deal with it. But we'll kind of go over some of those mechanics here and like how it goes. And you'll take a look at one of the mission running, and you'll see it's very chaotic. It's very hectic. There was some definite intent with these missions to prevent people from boxing them. But of course, we'll figure out those ways. So the Architect and this one are pretty easy. Priest is doable, but it's very, very rough, so I kind of want to get that one locked in a little bit more beyond just total chaotic. Maybe sometimes I beat it, sometimes I don't. And then the Heart one I haven't even tried yet, because I just hear that it's just entirely bugged, even just for 6 live characters trying to go through it. There's just a lot of mechanics in there that they didn't fix from like raid mechanics that just make it very, very, very difficult. So I'm going to wait for that one to get fixed before I even try playing around with boxing it. So I'm going to kind of run up here into the room. Kind of, so we'll go over just some overarching stuff here, and then I'll break this into a couple other parts and other things for setup. So obviously we got this humongous dragon here you need to kill. And he has there's 2 mechanics here to manage. So the first one is percentage-based ads. So every 10%, he is going to summon an ad that you need to make sure that you kill. If you don't engage, it resets the zone. His hit points, the Architect works like this as well. His hit points don't lock when the ad is up, but you won't be able to kill him until all the ads are dead. So you can't just burn through him. You might seem like you can, but he'll go all the way down to 5%, and then he just locks at 5% until the ads are all dead. So if you try that, you'll just get him down to 5% really quickly and find yourself stuck with 8 ads. And mechanics on the ads, aggro stuff, will guarantee a wipe no matter what. So you got those to worry about. And it's going to be not a DPS race, because you definitely want to avoid as much as possible getting 2 ads at the same time. It's doable, but they've got some aggro mechanics I'll kind of talk through this, in a bit, that make it very troubling if you're boxing. So the second mechanic to worry about are emotes. So there's 4 random emotes that he's going to go through. And what makes the RNG on this kind of a pain in the butt is they're not timed or anything like that. It's just completely random. He can knock 3 off back to back to back. He can knock 2 at the same time, or you can get lucky and get like 2 emotes throughout the entire fight. So the emotes, what he does is he says a trigger, and I'll include the Gina trigger link. I don't know if it will work if you just click it, if I don't send it in a tell, but I'll include it in the description, then I'll include the actual text in there if you want to create your own. But send a tell to Limey on Journal. If I'm up, I'll link the Gina to you so you can steal mine, and I'm sure someone's going to come up with some better ones eventually, and a whole big batch we'll be able to snag from somewhere. So those 4 triggers, each of them has a different effect. And when the particular emote comes across the window, you're going to need to say something to the mob at the zone in. You're going to need to give him a dragon name based on the emote. And he will summon that dragon. And the dragon will then either like negate the effect of the emote or help deal with it. I'll talk through them quickly here in a second. So this guy here is always going to chill here. And what that means is, because of like the randomness and you can just constantly get them, you're going to want to pick one of your characters, the weakest one who just contributes the least, and just park him right here at Darda. It's kind of a bit of a pain in the butt that you're going to lose out on a character. But since it's not really too much of a DPS race, it shouldn't be too big of a deal just to park a DPS tune here. And I tried Cleric. You need to be about at least here to talk to him. And when your Cleric is here, there's very little area that within the room that you'll be able to heal, and group heals won't hit whatsoever. So unfortunately, that doesn't work. It's just going to have to be likely a melee tune, or just a tune that's not going to contribute much. You can, and if you're just playing live with 6 people, run back and forth. There isn't, for most of the emotes, there's not really too much of a need to rush down here. But obviously as a box tune, because you're managing ads, you don't want to constantly be tabbed into another character, running them up here, and then running back down. Makes it very, very difficult for a box character. So long story short, pick a tune, leave them down here, start setting up some social macros for say. So I've done it with my Beast Lord and my Bard. So let me pop into my Beast Lord here. So I've got these 4 socials in here for the 4 emotes. And before I get there, one more thing with them. So when you say one of the dragon names to him, it's going to lock you out from being able to use another dragon for about, I think it's 30 seconds. Don't quote me on that. I haven't timed it or seen what the time is, but it seems about like a half a minute. So it is a bit of a pain in the butt because you can get 2 of them back to back. And one time I got 3 of them all at all back to back to back. So you need to then kind of pick which ones you want to do, because you can only do one and then 30 seconds another. So that's where kind of the RNG gets really, really stinky. And there's a few rare instances where, depending on what phase you're at up there, and which emotes you get, like, it doesn't matter what your group is, it's just instant death and you got to wipe. For boxing, I'll say it's probably about 50-50 so far for me. I very rarely get it on its first try, but usually on the second try we're good to go, and a couple of times we'll get some bad luck and it'll take a third try. At least in like a dozen kills so far since going at this guy since launch just a few days ago. Yeah, it kind of stinks, but we're locked into RNG for this for sure. So the 4 emotes, we're going to talk here. So there's Suffering. You're going to want to say Silverwing to Darda here. And I'm actually not entirely sure what this emote does. But this is also the weakest one that you can ignore. So usually when I see Silverwing, I won't even bother. I'll ignore and just kind of let it do its thing. At least so far from the forums and posts and things like that, everyone is like, yeah, ignore this the Suffering one there. Don't worry about it. This line, though, that does trigger it is over here. Gina, come on. I don't know why I want to be behind there. So General Usiro summons the command console back into the room. So download my Gina triggers from the description, or just create it, type off that one there. Just summons the command console, something like that in there to get it triggered to tell you to click Suffering. I should also say huge shout out to Xerix. His beta video is where I pulled these from. And they are 1-to-1 for live, so still works until they potentially maybe come in here and change some stuff. Second emote is Pests. So you want to say Harla Dar when you get the emote that is the general summons a horde of venomous beasts. So this one here, I'd say prioritize and try to get this one clicked as soon as possible. Because you're going to get 2 venomous, I think they're called venomous thrall ads that will come at you. They're pretty rough on the DPS. They'll do some decent damage to you. And when you click Harla, and when you say Harla Dar, there's about 10 seconds before Harla Dar will actually show up. And what he'll do is he'll scare them away. So they'll completely run off and despawn. But you are going to at least have to tank them for a little bit here and grab aggro on them. So try to get Harla Dar up as soon as possible. And you don't want to get stuck or as much as possible, don't want to get stuck in a situation where you had to click one of the other ones and then Pest comes in right after that, and now you've got like 30 seconds of it. It's definitely doable. I've been able to take them down and kill them, but you're going to be popping some disciplines you may otherwise want to save to do that. But what I will tend to do is, as soon as I do see this, I will pop at least one defensive on there, so just I'm ready just in case. Depending on how you want to play feel free to do that or not. So the third one, the defense. So you want to summon, was it Kyokulin? I don't remember where that dragon was from like the original EQ days. I don't recall from like Vishan's Peak or anything like that where most of these are from. But anyway, so you're going to summon him for defense. And what this emote does, it puts a shield on the general, and you won't be able to do any melee damage to him. Everything will just hit for 1 damage. And the text that he says there is, general surrounds itself with an impenetrable barrier. If you happen to be killing an ad, you actually don't have to rush to this one so much. So like if you get manipulator, which we'll talk about in a second, and then defensive, like both back to back, I would click manipulator, so then you could worry about that, and then do defensive when you actually get back to meleeing the general. So not a huge rush to this one here, because you're not always fighting the general. So no big deal if you can't do damage to him. But obviously you need to be able to take this one down no matter what, or else you won't be able to kill him unless you want to do 1 damage hits for the next 3 hours. So the last one, the manipulator. This is going to summon a manipulator ad. At this point, you've probably seen them. I think every single zone has some variation of them. It's a little bit on the tougher side, so you need to say Vinesh to summon him to help you out. And I'm not too sure what this particular one does, because he doesn't get rid of this one ad, but I think the ad, if you don't summon Vinesh, the ad either heals or makes the general more powerful or something like that. So you want to get Vinesh in there to weaken it and prevent that from happening. But you will still have to kill the manipulator. And the manipulator is one, there is a lot of bugs. I wouldn't say bugs, but some grumbling and stuff going on where he doesn't always auto aggro. And you only have, I think it's like 3 seconds to get aggro on him from when it goes active, or else the event resets. So when you do see this one, make sure, if you don't within a couple of seconds see the manipulator go active, that you try to proactively tag him. He spawns, I believe it's in like the east side of the room there. It's been a big pain in the butt. It resets quite often. This is one of the ones where it can be very, very ugly if you're in like the phase where you're getting knocked around. It's the dragon. I think I forgot to say this, from 40 to 60%. There is like one of those push mechanics where like the room tilts, and it's kind of like the dragon is turning because he's getting hurt or something like that. The dragon, the big one that you're on. And you start like, it's one of those mechanics where it just pushes you. So you can't like run in one particular direction. It's going to push you either to the west side of the room or the east side of the room. And if it's pushing you towards the west side of the room and the manipulator spawns, it's automatic reset, which is a pain in the butt. So you're just stuck with RNG with that, because you won't be able to get aggro on him, and it will reset. You'll get a message like the manipulator was idle, blah blah blah, you failed the mission kind of thing. So bit of a royal pain in the butt, but I think it's only happened to me like on one attempt where I was like, hey, this is just pure wipe, there's nothing I can do, let me just let this reset. So those are the 4 emotes to have to worry about. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut it off here, and then we'll get edited right to the next section. Okay, second part here. We're going to actually talk some setup here. So not going to trigger the event, but just the setup and things to know before you get into actually fighting. So first thing is these big tower thingies here, these control tower things that are on these light color tiles here. As soon as you start the event, they're all going to disappear, and you're just going to have a big open room here. However, depending on the emotes that you get, I believe it's the Silver Wing emote, will cause one of these towers to randomly reappear. And if you are fighting on this light color tile that one reappears on, there is a pretty good chance you're going to wipe, because your toon's going to get stuck in there. So you're not going to be able to move out from like within the tower. So I could like run up it now, but if you're inside of it, you can't get moved out of it. And it was a lesson learned in one of my attempts there about that. So wherever you're fighting, just make sure that it is off of that pad. The other thing to watch out for with regards to where you're fighting is there's that control orb that pops up, I believe, about halfway through the fight. It's a little ball that floats around the room with a red aura around it. It circles the perimeter, so it's always going to be on the outside of the room, and it just circles around. I believe it's counterclockwise, if I'm not mistaken. I guess it's not too important, so you just always want to make sure you stay out of it. But it's going to be circling around the outside of the room there. So fighting just pretty much and trying to position yourself between the light colored tiles is going to be your best bet there, because that orb, it's got the red aura around it, but the area effect extends pretty decently far outside of that aura, so it's misleading. So you think, okay, cool, I'm close to the edge, it's not touching me, and then bam, you get stun locked and get that like 500k a tick dot, as if you're standing in it, and it's essentially a wipe. You can kill it, but since you can't be in that aura, you can only do it via range damage. My group's not set up for that, so I just ignore it and move slow. It doesn't really have any much of an impact, because you can easily identify where it's at. So I just ignore it, let it do its thing, stay off the edges, and you should be golden. Other thing to note is we're going to head back to the far corner here. The Mystic guy here in the southeast corner here, east side of the room. This guy here, he doesn't attack. He just stands here and vomits up his light color. But after you kill the first 2 mobs to trigger the event, which are these guys here at the doorways, you want to immediately come back here and kill this guy. So he'll just stand there and you just beat him to death. And you just have to just tank the guild, the general guy there. But if he is up, you won't be able to summon any of the dragons. So I believe there might be an achievement for doing that. I'm not too sure about that, but take him down right away, then get into the general. One little perk for now anyways, I think they'll probably patch this because I think it might be a bit of a bug. If you kill him and then after you kill him, you wipe at any point during the fight, when it resets, this guy will not be there anymore. So he doesn't reset with the event. So it's kind of nice, then you don't have to worry about him anymore on a second attempt. So I've kind of toyed with the idea of killing him and then leashing out of the room to reset the fight, so that way you can just get right to the general. But it's really not that difficult. It only takes a couple seconds to take him down. But potentially, if you want to try to save, or if you're really struggling with it, give yourselves a little bit of extra DPS right from the start. Go right on to reset it and then get it right into the general. Other thing to talk about is the ad spawns. The percent-based ads are going to spawn in either of the doorway. It'll be random which one. They do always auto-aggro, at least so far for me. I shouldn't say always, since I've only done this 7-8 times now, something like that. It's still pretty new, so who knows? There might be a possibility that they don't auto-aggro, because the manipulator, if you get the manipulator emote, he does not always auto-aggro. That seems about a 50-50 shot. If he doesn't aggro immediately, if you get the emote and you don't see him on the extended target in a second or two, he, I believe, spawns in the east side of this room. At least any time that I've had to grab him, he's been on this side here. So if that happens, you need to be very, very quick, because you've only got about 3 seconds to pick up aggro before the mission will reset. It's annoyingly fast. You'll get a message, something along the lines of, so-and-so is not engaged and has run out of the room for reinforcements. Your mission has failed. So try to watch for him over on this side here, if you're unlucky and he doesn't immediately aggro upon you. Other thing to talk about, we're going to run down here. So the emote mob that you need to talk to down here, the frog, when you're standing down here, you can still get hit by like the knockbacks and the tilts and things like that. So you kind of want to watch your positioning. So if you're just kind of standing right here, you'll tab over to this, whatever tune you got standing there, and you'll see him. He'll have got knocked off the edge, or he's down there somewhere like that. So make sure that this tune is shrunk. That'll prevent him from getting like knocked over these walls here. They won't be able to like run over it. I also kind of nestle like right here, just push yourself right in here. You could talk to Darta there. He'll respond to any says, and it seems to be like the character will stay pretty locked into that spot there and not be in some other random direction. From a setup standpoint, that's really about it. Let's see if I'm forgetting everything. Yeah, that's about it. I think we'll talk about it's everything. Everyone, I'm sure, is talking about this. It was discussed quite heavily in beta and forum talks and stuff like that. That's the target rings for these big dragons. They're very, very small. They are essentially belly melee hitters, I guess you would call them. You can DD them from far out. You can cast spells on them from far out, but you can only melee them from like right up against this ring. You can't be much farther outside of that ring. I've got a feeling that this is probably just a coding restriction, because the dragons that are like this are these humongous modeled ones. So I feel like putting them around the entire one would be like a bigger target ring than you've ever seen before, and I bet that probably causes some bugs or things like that. So this is kind of the only salve to it of sorts. But anyways, yeah, it's very, very tricky. It can be very, very tricky. I would say make sure you're not utilizing Bard Speed. Because Bard Speed and follow is very, very wonky, and whenever you stop, characters with Bard Speed will just kind of run off and end up in random positions instead of just nicely all neatly packed up onto each other. And there's going to be a lot of moving around here. One of the nicer things about like the knockbacks here is with follow on, like they'll run right back to where they need to be. So keep it on throughout the whole fight. It makes things really easy. Again, just make sure that you're avoiding standing in this area over here, and you should be good. I've seen every so often my characters will kind of get pushed back and they'll kind of get pushed up one of those, but ain't no biggie though. The follow will usually tag them right back on there. So yeah, that's that. We'll go ahead and get into the next part where we'll actually trigger up and start fighting. Cool. All right, we're back here with part 3. This is also going to be attempt 3. Couple of bad luck situations in the first 2 tries there. First one reset, and a reset from a mob that I had not had that experience with. It's always been the manipulator. If you don't engage that, it resets. But this time, the venomous thralls, I think they're called, the pest ads. Those have always auto-aggroed for me, but I guess they don't always. So they emoted that, and I noticed that for a couple of seconds. They went on my aggro, and I tried to run and find them, but since you only have a couple seconds before I was able to get them tagged, it reset. And then the second time wasn't just crappy luck, but it bugged. Something happened. So 3 of my characters got warped down to the zoning, like the ground floor. So I think what happened was like the tail whip thing, which knocks them back a little bit. I don't know, it must have knocked them into like one of the control spires or something like that, and it just warped them down, that some weird Z-axis thing warped them to the ground floor. My cleric, Zerker, and if it was my ranger got warped down there. I had to zone out and fire back to get them back in here. So yeah, it was really weird. Never experienced that before, so I don't know if anyone ever has, or maybe you might want to try to replicate it. But anyways, we're back in. Gonna try here, attempt number 3. Let's get some buffs going. I've got my bard down there ready to do some talking. I'll usually keep my bard with me until the first emote, just for the extra help. And then run it down there, because usually when you get the emotes, you don't have to like rush down and say like immediately. You can wait a few seconds, but since I want to be talking while explaining everything, I figured for this I'll just leave it down there and lose out on a little bit of DPS for the first couple of minutes. But yeah, we'll go ahead, we'll get it started here. We'll kind of see how things are going. These mobs are here. Say hello. Let me pop over here and get this going. Start it up. There we go. And you'll see that other guy, he's coming running from way on the other side of the room. Get some aggro on him. So while we're killing these, I'll talk a brief second about the percentage-based ads. Aggro is going to be a real big key to them. So they have a mechanic where when they get low health, they'll start, or maybe it's time-based, either time-based or low health, not right away. They will pick another, you'll see the emote, they'll pick someone else in your group to target and attack. And they don't just lose aggro, but they cause that tune to generate max aggro. So you can't just, he's got aggro and let me hit him a couple of times, or pop like an explosion or something like that and pick it up, it's not going to work. It's just going to be like trying to pull off aggro from a main tank. That character has generated max aggro. So between that and like the range modifier, just be ready. Don't use too much of your clickies outside those ads because you need to pop off a couple to pull aggro off of that mob there. And range is going to be huge. Like if you're not within melee range, like Ageless Enmity from an SK won't even pull aggro. It generates that much. So hang on to them. Be ready to use them on those ads there. Don't over DPS so that you get into 2 ads at the same time. That could be hectic. And let's just hope the ads don't get crazy during the tilt phase, because that is, if they start losing aggro, dropping aggro while it's tilting, it's basically a guaranteed wipe because you won't be able to heal and you won't be able to tag aggro at all. All right, so the first mob is up over there. We're going to try to target him and get a little bit closer. I want to start attacking them as soon as possible. So I'll try to like run out to them, at least in this phase when we don't have the orb. So he's going to target Rukab once he gets lower on health. So we'll be ready for that. You know, I think I forgot to voice myself. I might try to pop that off. So it took 2 aggro clicks there to pull him back on. So that's terrible. But you'll see, like, he's still really high up on that aggro list, and he now went after somebody else. He's not coming off. There we go. I'm going to try to pull him to a bit of a better spot here and not die in the process. All right, let's get a slow on him as well. I forgot that. There we go. Slow will be your friend here as well. Try to slow the ads in addition too. That way they're not going to murder your other character as quickly.
Click defense.
I'm not going to worry too much about clicking that because we want to wait for this ad to go active over there. There we go. So we can pick up aggro. I'm going to get on this guy. Start beating him up and then we'll... There we go. See, it says here, will arrive shortly. Right, so he's going to target lame. Let's be ready. I got a couple of good AE ones here to tag him with. There we go. Wrong one. He still wants to beat up. Nope. Ooh, that got sketchy. See, like it takes a buttload to pick up aggro. We came out of that by the skin of our teeth. But we came out of it, so that's all that matters.
Click suffering.
So the suffering, you tend to get a second emote with that, so I'm going to hang on, but we're good, so we'll get rid of that. I don't even think I don't remember particularly what suffering actually does, but you could tend to ignore it. See, that was a bad idea. I shouldn't have clicked suffering because now I'm going to be delayed on pest. So let me just preemptively get a defense and some life tap going because we're going to have to tank on 3 mobs here. Let's see, I should be able to... Yeah, can't click just yet. I'm going to put a little bit of offense into this so that I can get some aggro quicker and get this guy killed quicker. Can we get pest in? Yep. Yes, okay. Farla Dar or whatever it is should be popping. There we go. Cool. So those are gone. Oh, interesting.
Click manipulate.
Okay. Ooh, manipulate. It'll be a second on that one. So he's up over here. Let's get him aggroed so that he... Alright. Alright, I'm going to kill the Guardian first, so we don't have to worry as much about his annoying mechanic. It'll help if I got attack on, and I don't know why I'm not getting healed. There we go. Okay, for some reason I'm going to pop deflection. I don't know why my cleric is not, because it's getting knocked back. I would have preferred to have not used deflection that early, but my cleric was occupied, so I was not getting any heals. He's down. That tilt thing here in that 40 to 60%, that's where that gets ugly, because your cleric is totally occupied and you are being moved around, so no matter what, anything is getting interrupted. But yeah, it's just how chaotic this can be. Alright, but we're through it and we're okay-ish. Am I slow again to get a slow on here?
Click manipulate.
There's a little orb thing going around there. Manipulator. I'm also not too sure specifically the phrase for manipulator, what it all entails. Because it doesn't get rid of the mob, but I think it just makes it weaker. Maybe. I'm going to pop my burns off here. Maybe not the best idea because now we get a second ad, but we're also going to be let's get an epic going in here for the last little bit of the fight.
Click defense.
And of course, while we got some burns going, he wants to go defensive. And this is the phase, I'm not too sure what this is all about. Like, there's a red aura over everything. I'm not too sure. Alright, defensive is down. He's going to lock here. Pest is no good. Let's get another defensive going, because we're going to be locked out from... come on, we're stunned. Don't stun me, Hal. We got Harm Touch just to generate some good aggro here. Let's see. Can we do an emote? Yep, okay, cool. After this Guardian is dead, though, we should be able to unlock the General. No. Okay, that should have unlocked the General, and I have no idea where his target ring is at because of the aura. Okay, cool. There we go. Very hectic, very crazy. Not always a guaranteed win. The RNG can be really nasty there, depending on your ad placement with the shifting and things around there. You saw it got really hectic. I had to pop off a couple of things. Would normally have wanted to reserve to the end, but cool. Let's See if we got lucky. I've only gotten one ring so far and like a dozen total over a couple of the 2 missions. So let's see. No ring. This is the decent 2-handed AUG, 36 damage. I think this is just a janky spell wrist. That's a decent face for group wise there, but there you go. That's control room in its crazy glory.